creating custom Pokemon for you! Welcome back, everyone, to the show where we select lucky commenters to spin a series of random wheels that give us factors for a Pokemon that we then create just for you. It's gonna be an awesome episode today, y'all. We're gonna make 3 amazing custom Pokemon as always, so if you end up liking today's video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And of course, if you want a custom Pokemon for yourself, don't forget to leave a comment because I'll be randomly selecting people from this video's comments for the next episode. But without further ado, let's get into the first Pokemon. And this one will be for Gabriel Wrigley. I'm glad you liked the themed episode we did last time. It was a ton of fun to make. So, alright, Gabriel, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be a Paradox Pokemon. For the first Pokemon of the day, that's really interesting. And it means that now we'll spin this wheel to see what generation of Pokemon we'll be making a Paradox form for, and it's Gen 1. That's classic. So now, of course, we'll spin this wheel that has every single Gen 1 Pokemon on it, and we got Goldduck. That is definitely one of the more strange Pokemon from Gen 1, so that'll be a little difficult. And every Paradox form keeps at least one of its old typing, so we know that it'll stay Psychic type, but let's still spin for a secondary type, and it's the Dragon type. A Psychic Dragon type Goldduck, that is definitely a challenge. And the last and most important step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it's a past or future Paradox form, and it is a past Paradox. Wish me luck. This Pokemon is a real wise quack. Your Pokemon is Webtalon, the enlightened Pokemon. When we typically think of past Paradox Pokemon, we often think of hulking bees who want nothing but violence. And while for the most part that's true, Webtalon was the exception, as it appears that its extreme amounts of psychic energy allowed it to reach a state of enlightenment, not only making it completely non-violent, but it even became protective of any weaker prehistoric Pokemon that entered its domain. With it even being said that Webtalon would slowly accrue small amounts of follower Pokemon who lived alongside it, and slowly absorbed its radiating psychic energy, causing them to become more intelligent and peaceful over time. With many historians saying this may have been the driving force behind Pokemon becoming the friendly and charismatic creatures we know today. So I guess we owe a lot to this duck-billed dragon. In terms of stats, Webtalon is a very tanky Pokemon with absolutely ridiculous special defense. And for the shiny, I went with this yellow color as a reference to Psyduck. But now let's get into the second Pokemon. And this one will be for Ron AA. Thanks, but it's actually a tuxedo. But anyways, Ron, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular. Nothing wrong with that. And now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get 1, which makes you a 2-stage evolution line. And now let's see what typing this Pokemon's going to be. Your first up is going to be None, which means whatever this next type is, it's your only type, and it's the Dark type. Dark type Pokemon are easily some of my favorite to make, so that's great. And the last step, before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and none this time. In the large desert of the custom Pokemon region lies a technologically advanced civilization which has stood for thousands of years. However, not everyone in the desert landscape chooses to live so reliant on machinery, as pockets of remote tribes can be found dotted across the sand who find ways to survive and thrive in the desolate environment of the desert, and carry with them some of the most unique Pokemon ever seen. The first stage of your Pokemon is Pkmn, the Twilight Pokemon. These Pokemon are perfect for living amongst these desert tribes, as the tribes exclusively hunt at night to avoid the desert heat. And Pkmn excels in the darkness of night, as it appears that its eyes have the strange property to become more effective the darker it gets, allowing it to join the tribe's hunting parties and scout out any potential prey. And upon leveling up with high friendship at nighttime, it would evolve into Twilakin. As swift as the night and as stealthy as a shadow, Twilakin is the ultimate desert hunting partner, as not only can it see for miles in complete darkness, but once its eyes do lock onto prey, it's able to sprint its way over to them at a speed that even the fastest desert Pokemon can't hope to escape from. And it's due to this Pokemon's extreme agility and nighttime proclivity that makes them nearly impossible to catch, with most people agreeing that if you want a Twilakin, you're gonna have to catch a Pkmn and raise it from there, as there's simply no way to contain this Duskborn Prowler. In terms of stats, Twilakin is incredibly fast fast and has decent physical attack, so of course its defenses have to be mid. And for the shiny, I went with this white color because I thought it looked really cool with the dark gray body. But now let's get into the third Pokemon. But before we get into the final Pokemon, it's time for the member modifier. This is the segment of the show where we take a fan favorite Pokemon from a previous episode in the series and give it a brand new upgrade. It's sad to say, but today will be the last member modifier for Setamite, who, if you don't know, is a rock-type Pokemon with 8 different evolutions based off different RPG classes, as well as the Elemental Evolution Stone. And while normally I would have my members vote between stones to expose to Setamite, at this point there's actually only 2 left, being the Ice Stone and the Shiny Stone. So I figured to save time and to say thank you to all the new memberships we've been getting lately, I would just do both of them in the same episode. And so when you take an Ice Stone and place it in the hole in Setamite's chest, it'll evolve into Setazurker. This Pokemon is known to completely submerge its body underneath the dense snow of its frozen habitat, lying in wait for potential prey to walk near before bursting out of the ground and attacking with its axe-bladed arms. Arms which actually serve a dual purpose, as not only can they be used as weapons, but they also allow Setazurker to dig into the side of frozen mountains and scale them with ease, leaving nowhere for its prey to hide. And if Setamite is exposed to a shiny stone, it'll evolve into Cetarik. This Pokemon is a master healer, as it's able to channel restorative energy through the crystalline wings on its back and use it to mend people and Pokemon alike. In fact, Cetariks are often employed by the many Poké Centers across the Custom Pokémon region, as their healing abilities even surpass Chansey. Huge thank you to all my channel members. I hope y'all like Setamite's final evolutions, and if you want to become a channel member yourself and help us vote on the next Pokemon to upgrade, then you can look into that by hitting the join button down below. But now let's get back into the third Pokemon, and this one will be for Dragonfire. And in regards to your comment, all I'll say is stay tuned. But alright, Dragonfire, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular. Still nothing wrong with that. And now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get 0, which actually makes you a basic Pokemon. And now let's see what typing this Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is going to be the Fairy type. That is good. That is definitely a rare type in our region. And Fairy Steel type. That is actually the strongest typing possible in competitive Pokemon, so that's really good. And the last step, before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and none this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing tonight's featured performer, Armadisco.
Everybody get to Dillo dancing. Everybody get to Dillo dance. Do the Dillo dance. Do the Dillo dance. Do the Dillo dance. And that Dillo dance. Everybody wants a nice camera action. Bump in the night and it might get romantic. You can come with me and see the heat that'll pack it. Roll about your shell, girl, and get to Dillo dancing. Everybody get to Dillo dancing. Everybody get to Dillo dance. Do the Dillo dance. Do the Dillo dance. Do the Dillo dance. And that Dillo dance.